Hey everyone, this is a speedrun of Resident Evil Dead Aim for the PS2. The difficulty is on normal mode, and the time is 27 minutes and 11 seconds. I didn't really have too terribly much reason for speedrunning this game, other than I just wanted to try doing a speedrun of a light gun game. And as it happens, there are 4 light gun games based on Resident Evil and Dino Crisis. This one happens to be the one that sucks the least, but hey, I'll probably do one of Resident Evil Survivor with a light gun in the future. Just gotta get a hold of a Japanese copy of the game. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about the actual speedrun. The world record is 23 minutes and 43 seconds for this category by Ekudet. And the easy mode world record is 22 minutes and 47 seconds by Matt10111. Anywho. I'm not really sure what the best movement is for a lot of these rooms, but I'm just trying to go for some easy, safe dodges so that I don't have to use the dodge command, the command dodges. And so I also don't get bit, because that actually wastes a lot of time. Because the runs are pretty short, those 5-second losses that you get from getting bit add up pretty fast. Speaking of which, I believe that the game timer does not count load times and cutscenes. Which is pretty rare for earlier Resident Evil games. So for this section, 3rd floor, grabbing the ID card, that's really the whole point of running around in a gigantic loop. Is specifically so that we can grab a key card. Which incidentally is the key card which opens these 2 doors right here. The shotgun is pretty much a requisite for this speedrun, especially on normal mode. Enemies have slightly more HP. And also, you do not start with the shotgun on normal mode. But the shotgun is mostly used against the 2 hunters that you have to fight, and the first boss, which is the boss of the ship area, the Tentacle Tyrant. Enemies also deal a lot more damage in normal mode. If I try to speedrun this game again, I'll probably do it on hard mode next time. But first, I have to learn how to kill Morpheus on hard mode. The final fight with Morpheus is a DPS check, and I would say probably the hardest thing to do in this game on a controller. So anyway, every other dodge was pretty straightforward, but the one that I actually have to catch myself is in that room with those 2 zombies, the male and the female zombie that I just ran past that were in turbo mode. You have to run into the left corridor and just like try to space them out that way, because if you go down the other corridor, then they'll head you off and it's a little too narrow to dodge around them. So I'll take the shotgun rounds here. The reason I grabbed these shotgun shells is because the bullet spread RNG, even though, funny story, the shotgun shells in this game, if you fire off enough of them, then they create a perfect spiral on a wall if you fire in the exact same place. But there's still a fair bit of spread RNG involved. So it can be quite difficult to get critical shots off on, say, Tentacle Tyrant, whose weak spot has a pretty janky hitbox. The zombie that I got bit by there, I actually should have dodged towards the left of it. If I did that, then he wouldn't have gone for the lunge, and I could have avoided his friends. In that staircase corridor there, for some reason there's a thing in place, like a snap function that just like corrects your movement so that you can move around in a circle while holding up. But anywho, this is the area the shotgun is for. But of course these guys moved off screen the second that I was able to shoot them. Sometimes their death animation doesn't play out either. But I always go for the right hunter first and then the left hunter second, because the event trigger here is just how fast you can kill them. Okay, so next up, the spaceman area here, leading up to the crowbar, is pretty straightforward. There's just a couple of zombies in the way. Only they're not really in the way. Just take wide angles around them. Don't gotta worry about it. Again, there's the game trying to correct my angle. Going right down this hallway will put us next to the automatic door here. The BOW auction room. The Spencer Rain is full of secret compartments. Where all sorts of shady characters make black market BOW deals. So these crates over here are complete RNG. I got extremely lucky. This is one of the other reasons why I don't want to do another speedrun of this game, is because there is actually a ton of RNG. So I could fix some of the things that were human error, such as just basic movement and stuff like that, and probably gain like another minute or so, but I got really good RNG in this run, comparatively speaking, so one of the biggest nuances, annoyances that I have is that the bodies on the ground all have hitboxes. So it's like with every other Resident Evil where you're trained to like step around them, you just like accidentally run into the bodies and get caught on them, get smacked. These cabins, there's nothing in here worth mentioning, so just going to move along here, go to the right, and go to the room where Morpheus infects himself. I'm not sure if I've actually mentioned this yet, but every time you switch between Bruce and Feng Ling, Bruce's HP recovers, so you don't actually need very many health items in this run if you know the route. Probably just 1 or 2 first aid sprays in case something goes really south. The places that I would anticipate dying the most are the Halberd boss, which is the giant wasp, because the little wasps, while you're trying to magnum the giant wasp in the head. Morpheus 2, Morpheus 3, and Tentacle Tyrant. I wouldn't say that the bosses in this game are particularly hard so much as gimmicky. And once you know the gimmick, it is very easy to either stun lock them or come up with a setup to beat them. So for the captain, to get the Magnum, I just blew him out of the way. Grabbed the Magnum first and the bullets second. That setup is probably the most efficient movement, because you just slide off the bed to grab the bullets, and then you can quick turn to move out the door. But coming up here is the Tentacle Tyrant. I mentioned the bullet spread on the shotgun before. Basically what I want him to do is I want him to attack, and then I try to shoot the heart on his back, but I'm pretty sure that my Guncon was not very well calibrated here, so also backstepping to try and bait out an attack is ill-advised. It would actually be quite nice if the Tentacle Tyrant, if the camera actually snapped up to his heart whenever you run around to his back, like it tends to do sometimes. So we get the grenade launcher right off the bat when we enter the sewers. So the strange monsters that are really just giant bulbous vaginas. Freudian nightmare fuel. Spit out these torpedo kids. I'm actually not sure if the torpedo kids here are RNG or not. This is also a reason why I needed a first aid spray. But I think like if you run a little further to the left, then sometimes the torpedo kids will spit way further left, enabling you to reach that staircase easier, but that was probably the worst RNG that I've ever gotten on that, so I probably wasted about 10 seconds or so. Once we gain control of Fongling, just a quick turn. Grab a key, use a key, flip a switch. And the escape from the area is pretty linear from there. I can imagine most people's complaint with this game being its very, very short length. It's not a particularly difficult game. A fun light gun game. But rank is not too terribly hard. And there's really not as much replay value, I would say. after having played it enough and given it enough opportunity to contemplate, I would probably say that Resident Evil Survivor is probably a little bit better than this game. As far as region differences go, I haven't really done any research on that. But considering that there's no real text scrolling speed, it would seem that the English and the Japanese versions are on par. I'm not sure if the PAL version runs at a similar speed or not. The damage values seem to be the same as well. I take a little detour in here to grab the grenades, but because I was still trying to learn the route through this area, I also grabbed the map. Silly me. Actually, it seems that because the PAL version runs at 60 Hz, that the NTSC and the PAL version would run at the same speed. So this whole area is a labyrinth. It is quite difficult to move around. We want these Magnum runs here, but when I tried to grab the key card there, there was a text box that I was kind of unaware of, so I think I lost about 5 to 7 seconds there. I'll make it a point to avoid that next time. So the glimmers here are pretty RNG based. They seem to jump backwards whenever you run at a certain angle. But other times they can just do this and waste like 5 seconds. Also, whenever they projectile vomit at you, the hitbox is pretty massive. I don't know if the developers intended the way to avoid it is to use the command dodge or not, but it seems that it is because of how wide the hitbox is. So the Fat Tyrant over here, I messed up and didn't equip the grenade launcher at the start of the fight, but the trick here is to not shoot whenever he's sniffing and wait for him to move his head back up and try to aim towards his throat so that the grenade arcs upwards and hits him in the head. But don't shoot him until his head is moving upwards. Like I did there, I shot too early. But if done correctly, then you can stun lock him and you can tiptoe backwards. Fortunately, the setup for this isn't too terribly difficult, but once he detects you, then you are going to take damage. No question about it. But the reason I pick up the extra grenades in the save room is so that if I get a direct hit on his brain whenever it pops out of his head with a grenade, then it'll destroy the brain, but there's really not much splash damage to these grenades. I would go as far as to say that this is probably the worst grenade launcher in any Resident Evil game. If it wasn't so good with Fat Tyrant, then I probably would have passed it up entirely and just used the Magnum instead. But there's not enough Magnum rounds. The silenced handgun that we picked up, I don't exactly know how much damage it does. But it is certainly not fast enough to take out the Fat Tyrant in a reasonable amount of time. The damage output is quite low, but you can definitely tiptoe around and keep shooting him that way. So you could even keep shooting him while he's doing the thing where he sniffs around. When he's sniffing around, that's when he's listening for gunfire. So you can grab that key card and buffer the dodge on the zombie. While doing so, I should have pre-turned in this room so that I could have dodged around the other zombie faster. The fastest way from point A to point B is in a straight line. Sometimes the straightest line means not using a command dodge.
Because thou hast obeyed my voice. Because thou hast obeyed my voice.
Morpheus is quite the villain. I think that playing on emulator and playing on console might be equal speeds as far as speedrunning goes.
Because thou hast obeyed my voice.
As the game omits load times and cutscenes. So for this fight, the best thing to do is to shoot Halberd in the head. For a gigantic wasp cockroach thing, I'm actually very surprised that the head is a weak spot. But the hitbox for that is actually quite small. So Takes about 5 shots or so. Also, I quick turned here for pretty much no reason. Which gave those zombies the opportunity to gang up on me there. Really quick turning, because of the way the camera and the movement works in this game, isn't really quick turning, it's more like quick positioning of the camera. So because Bruce's back was to the enemies, I just kind of double tapped back on reflex. Because that's what other Resident Evil games have me trained to do. Also, it seems that I wasted another 5 seconds here, forgetting where to use the backyard key in this room. So I probably could have saved about a minute or so on human error, as far as I can observe. In that save room there, I grabbed the machine gun bullets and the 2 health items. The machine gun is kind of a requisite for the final Morpheus encounter. But anyway, so we run around this missile over here and just basically shoot at Morpheus from here. She won't rush you or anything. But one thing to note is when firing at Morpheus, you should try to angle a little ways toward the right side or left side of Morpheus's body. So that way the game doesn't detect that you are aiming towards the center of Morpheus's hitbox, and then auto dodge. With a charged particle rifle, you want to try and tag it with splash damage. For that first zombie there, I think it's RNG whether he is in a position to grab you or not. Frankly, the controls are a little too clunky to set up for dodges. So I just go for the command dodge on that one by default. Also, epilepsy warning, I do apologize. For this stage of the Morpheus fight, the best thing to do is just repulse Morpheus. Don't worry about dealing any more damage. Just do enough to push Morpheus back and try to save your bullets for the fight where you actually do need to deal a lot of damage. So the final fight with Morpheus. You can still keep doing damage to Morpheus's head while the monster itself is pulling backwards. I try to make a conscious effort to reload the Magnum every time the head pulls back in. It is definitely a lot easier to use a Guncon for this, especially when Morpheus has a lot of stun reset close to the end of the fight, like you just saw. So you pretty much need the assault rifle there. Just try to avoid giving yourself a seizure. And that's the end of the game. So that's 2711. I don't know how the ranking system works in this game, but I think it works on the number of first aid sprays you use. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And also check out my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/CarcinogenSDA. And if you're feeling bold and you want to support my bad speedrunning habit, check out my Patreon. The link is in the description. Thank you all very much for watching, and see you next run.